Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and I like new knives. I think you like new knives too, which is why I've got the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves right here on the table in front of me. So let's check them out. All right, we've got some housekeeping to take care of right at the beginning here. Stick with me. The first is, if you see anything you like here, there are links in the description, which will take you over to our website. Some people seem to not realize that all the time, so apologize. There you go. Announcement made up front. We've also, on our website, recently introduced a Sezzle payment option. You folks have been asking for something like that, so if you want to split up payments on a larger purchase, you've got that option now as well. Thirdly, this pen right here. It is the CRKT Techliner Super Shorty. This red color is a Knife Center exclusive, and for a limited time, we're actually giving this away as a bonus if you spend $199 or more on the site. With promo code, I think it's going to be PEN, but we're going to leave that info in the comments. You could get your hands on one of these, and you might think, okay, great, yeah, PEN. So what? This actually is a pretty cool pen. If you don't want to spend $199, you can buy this. It's about $33 normally sold for right now. But the coolest thing about it is that magnetic cap right there on both sides. So it's an aluminum construction with the magnet on either side. And it is extremely satisfying and just fun to use, quite honestly. But you've got a really nice, apart from the fidgety aspect, you've got a really nice compact travel-sized pen. It takes Schmidt cartridges. What size is it? This is the Megaline 4889. So anything compatible with that size, you should be able to use in there. And yeah, that's it. It's nice.
And it's red.
And it's red, which means it would go nicely with something like this. Our first officially new item of the week, which is a new color on an existing item. The Bel Air. We've got a new version of Kershaw's stunningly best-selling release of this year so far. Definitely going to be up there on the top 10 of the best-selling new knives this year. I'm sure of it, even though I haven't looked up numbers yet. I'm going to be really embarrassed if it's not now that I've put it out there.
Famous last words.
Famous last words, indeed. But yeah, both of these are kind of like black and red, so that's cool. Why is the Bel Air so best-selling right now? Well, it's an American-made knife for $150 with MagnaCut blade steel, nice and thin, full flat grind, just over that 3-inch mark. Fantastic size and shape for EDC. Slim handles, not quite as ultralight as something like the Bug Out. Some folks do compare this knife to the Bug Out. But it's about 2.9 ounces and very slim, so still a very easy knife to carry day to day. Reversible deep carry pocket clip. In fact, very truly deep carry, sticking out past the end of the handle just a bit. Their Duralock, as Kershaw calls it, which is just another version of the crossbar lock, ball bearings in the pivot here for just a glassy, smooth, and satisfying action. There you go. Other versions of this knife are also available at that $150 price point. You can also get, for about a $195, you can get a marbled carbon fiber and a satin finished MagnaCut blade if you wish. But this one here is quite nice. There you go. That and a little bit more, and you can get a free pen for $200. $199. Fair?
Fair.
It's a cool knife. This next one, another new color on another fantastically successful Kershaw design, that being the Livewire OTF. This is coming in at about $240, so use that promo code to get that pen with this without having to pick up anything else. 3.5-inch MagnaCut blade. This is the spear point profile in black, purple coated aluminum handles. This is a PVD coating. I thought it was, but I wanted to check the site just to make sure. And you've got very strong action without a very tough mechanism in terms of that slider there. It fires quite nicely when you need it to. You've got a deep carry pocket clip set at a rather odd looking angle, but it is very effective, and it works on both sides with a quick reversal right there. So righties or lefties can have this great OTF with some very good materials. Honestly, for the materials that you're getting on this knife for a US made OTF like this, the price is not that bad, quite honestly. But it is up there. a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford $240, and that's okay. How about $140? For the next thing we're going to look at, several new Knafs things to take a look at. First of which is a new clip point version of their Lander 2, coming in at just under $140 right now. 3¼ inch S35 VN blade, just like the standard Lander 2, and the edge profile is almost identical to the standard drop point Lander 2s, of which I'm holding one right here. It's ever so slightly different here at the end, but you know, broad strokes anyway. The cutting experience of the actual curvature of the edge is going to be pretty much the same. You've just got a more acute tip now, thanks to this clip point profile. And the clip point here, they're kind of leaning into almost like an old school buck knife vibe a little bit, not recreating it obviously, but the Lander 2 has always had this kind of curve on the inside of the handle here, which the buck knife famously uses. So they've kind of leaned into a slightly older school feeling with the accoutrement on this knife. First of which is the thumb stud here, kind of looks like a dull penny, like some old copper, and the handle scales here are brown paper micarta, which I very much like as a material in general, and I like the vibes that this brings to this knife as well. Nice and smooth. You got that nice kind of matte papery texture to it. A little bit of variation from one knife to the next. In fact, you can see here on the back, this one's got a little bit more variation than the front. It's just really cool. If you're not into this sort of thing, but you just want the clip point, the cool thing about the Lander series is the scales are fast swappable and open source. So you can find all kinds of aftermarket and official secondary parts for this if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But I rather like this color combination right here. Deep carry pocket clip, reversible. This is a completely ambidextrous knife, thanks to the ambidextrous lock as well. And the action is quite good. These are made for Knafs by Kaiser, in fact, so you've got their quote-unquote clutch lock, which is their take on a crossbar lock that actually allows you to adjust the spring tension on the inside if you're not happy with the way it is right out of the box. I know some folks have gotten into that and like to tweak stuff, but I've always thought they're quite fine right out of the box. So you got the option, though. Options are always a nice thing.
Options are optional.
Options are indeed optional. I showed another Lander 2. We've got some bescaled Lander 2s. And the interesting thing about these Lander 2s, the Lander and the Lander 3 we're about to look at, they've all got some upgraded scale options here, but they also all come with their original scales. Does the Trout one here? I think they all do. Yeah, they all come with the standard scale option. So blue on the Lander 1 and 2 and like a blue-gray on the Lander 3. So you've got the fancier or more adventurous scale option. And you can switch things around to the blue color when you want to be a little more tame. Well, the blue's not necessarily tame, but anyway. $145 for this Brook Trout version. That is a G10 handle with the pattern printed somehow on the top layers. And it does look like a 4-color process. You see a bit of that, the artifacts of that sort of thing. Action is just as good. You've got that broader drop point profile to the blade. Still a decent tip, but not as pokey as the clip point version. And then you've also got, I believe for the same price, yep, about $144.99 to be exact, the Kitty Cosmo Crew version of the Lander 2 right here. These kind of lean into like that Space Kitty vibe and kind of shows the sense of humor of the Knafs brand. What I like about them is they're not taking themselves too seriously, which is fun. It's a lot more fun way to live life, quite honestly.
They're an internet knife company. They run on cats.
That is true. Interesting take, Thomas. We'll put that down.
I was due for one.
And then we have the standard original Lander here as well. $55 for this one with that same kind of Space Kitty thing going on. And again, also has the blue scales included. If you don't want these, if you just want a blue scaled version, they're like $45 right now. 2¾ inch blade, D2 steel, drop point profile, neutral handle. So even though it's small and I can't get all 4 of my fingers on the handle per se, you can still get a pretty full feeling grip thanks to the neutrality. There's nothing kind of restricting your fingers either on the front or the back side. So it's adaptable in the way while maintaining a small profile. And you've got a liner lock on this particular design, but you still have the reversible deep carry pocket clip. If you like that size and shape, but you want a true left-handed experience, the Lander 3 is where you want to be. And here it is. This is also made by Kaiser. It's got the adjustability from the clutch lock machinations right there with that crossbar mechanism. 2 3/4 inch blade again, S35 VN steel, so not your D2. You get more stainless qualities out of this steel. This is the Good Vibes handle. Cool. It feels very 70s in nature. And you also get the standard blue-gray handles as well. These are coming in about $140. All the other specs are the same. You can kind of think of it as a cross between the Lander 1, or it's a Lander 1 with specs like a Lander 2. There you go. Same neutral handle, same very useful shape and size. There you go.
I think I saw that once on a Matchbox card.
Yeah, I could see that. Next up, let's show, I actually like having this knife next to the Landers on the table, and that is the Ontario Rat 1. Classic design at this point in time, let's be honest. This is one of the S35 VN versions that has recently launched. We've already sold out of the satin-bladed version we had, although I'm hoping we can get more. They'll be produced more in the future, I'm sure. I just don't know what the current stock level of the current batch is, but we've got the black coated blades in stock right now. $97 with a green G10 handle, forest green. You've got that same great Ontario Rat blade shape that we all know and love, 3.6 inches long, full flat grind with that drop point, very accommodating handle. But there's something about this next to a Lander 2. I really like, in a way you can kind of see some influences of the Rat on the Lander. I don't know if that was intentional. In fact, it probably wasn't. I don't know if I've really heard Ben Peterson talk too much about that as a design inspiration. But we all pick up things, subconsciously from successful knives over the years. And there's something about like the honesty of this knife that works well next to the honesty of the Lander 2 right here. I don't know. Let me know what you folks think. Interestingly, even though the Lander 2 is a much smaller knife, sharpened edge, it's about the same between the two. See if we can get you get like a skosh more with the Ontario, but not by much. That's cool. But anyway, the Rat 1, fantastic knife all around. 4-position pocket clip, liner lock, so it is a right-hand biased system, but super accommodating handle and super time-proven design, both in terms of its utilitarian shape as well as its build quality. There you go, upgraded steel option for the Rat 1. Next up, new Spyderco. This is the Roadie XL. Here it is, coming in about $86 and some change. This is a slip joint knife, an update of the original Roadie. It's a little bit larger, hence XL. 2 3/4 inch blade. I'll get to the steel here in a minute. Injection molded handle with a nice contour to it and a wire deep carry pocket clip that is reversible. Now this type of knife, small slip joint non-locking, is, what do you want out of a knife like this? Obviously not really hard use. You're not gonna go like prying apart a pallet with something like this. So what do you want from your steel? You want something that's gonna hold an edge a long time and something that's probably stainless. Toughness, you don't necessarily need as much because this is just a small precision cutting utensil. So M398 steel is what they went with here. And that's a pretty cool steel. You don't see it that much these days. It is kind of, well, it is pretty new in the grand scheme of things. It is not exceptionally tough, so we'll get that out of the way right up front. But it has insanely good edge retention. It is a modification of M390. You get more carbon and more vanadium than that steel. What you get is something that the only steel we can think of that really has better edge retention than M398 would be S125V, which is exceptionally rare. You don't see that hardly ever, but this is gonna hold an edge longer than your S110V, your S90V, certainly more than your M390s, your 20CVs, and all that sort of thing. It's even up there with some high toughness carbon steels. Like at the same hardness, this should be somewhere in between a 10V and 15V in terms of edge retention. Of course, those steels are tougher, but they're not stainless. This steel is not as tough, but it is stainless. So does that give you a good picture? Are the weeds overgrowing here a little too much?
To parse.
lots and lots and lots of edge retention from this knife. You still can get a pretty full grip on the knife, and that's thanks to Spyderco's signature finger choil arrangement that they use, splitting the ricasso and the handle here with a finger groove. That gives you not just additional length. I mean, I can get all 4 of my fingers on this handle quite easily. Might not really need to, but I can. But the nice thing about that as well is it gives you a modicum of safety on this non-locking design, because with your finger there, if the blade does kind of start to close, it's got your finger there to keep it from closing the rest of the way. Nice, handy thing. The blade itself is, the website calls it sheep's foot, but I would argue in practice it's more of a Wharncliffe type of design right here. Actual sharpened length of it, blade length is 2 3/4. Actual sharpened length is about 2 1/4 or so. But you've got the tons of edge retention to go along with it. Nice half stop along the way. Opening is very easy with the double dent. You can see those 2 milled dishes out of either side of the blade, making it very easy to access. Definitely not a nail breaker to get open. There you go, the Roadie XL. We'll keep the slip joint theme going for a few knives. These new case knives are super cool looking. These are Embellished Smooth Mediterranean Blue Bone Ivy. Then whatever model we're talking about. This is the large Stockman with the Embellished Smooth Mediterranean Blue Bone Ivy on it. Comes in about 120 bucks, and it is rather ornate. Starts with blue dyed bone, and then you've got the ivy kind of milling on it, and that's carried through into the bolsters as well with some engraving. Both sides carry that. It's just very, very cool looking, very nice. The large Stockman, of course, comes with a large clip point blade, as well as secondary sheep's foot blades and pen blades, or sorry, not a pen blade, a spay blade. Not a reverse Tanto, right, folks? You know what I'm talking about. Other knives in this series that are available, we've got the standard size Trapper and the folding Hunter as well. The Trapper comes in about 100 bucks. The folding Hunter is also at that $120 mark. Super, super nice. Super nice. Stainless steel blades on those, I should say. Next up, new versions of the MKM Fara. Give myself not a whole lot of room to pick that one up right there. This is a Lucas Burnley design, and it is also a slip joint. 175 bucks. There are 3 new FatCarbon handles, FatCarbon handled options on the Fara right now. This is the gold dark matter, which I always really like. And I like the gold pivot collar along with that. That's always a nice thing too. Blade, 3 inches long, drop point with M390 steel, flat grind along it. Decent cutting sheet geometry overall, not too thick. Crowned spine and crowned back spring as well. Very cool type of continuous look to that line right there. And it's a shape that works really nicely too. It has style, and yet it should fit a wide variety of hand sizes quite easily thanks to its shape. 3.5 finger grip for me in a standard position here. You've got some finger guard protection from your finger sliding forward, not something you see too often on slip joints. And if I needed to choke up and get all 4 fingers on that, I can do that too. The closing action, very nice. Not the snappiest in the world, but certainly on the snappier side. Very satisfying with the half stop, as you can see. And carrying this knife, most slip joints without pocket clips just slip into your pocket. Well, this one actually has MKM's magnetic leather sheath. They do that on a number of their slip joints as well as their pocket fixed blades. Slip it into your pocket like so, and then the flap with the magnet on the end will hold it in place. So you don't have to worry as much about the knife just kind of banging around in your pocket, getting scratched up, scratching up other things in the process, and it's right where you need it when you need to fish it out and actually cut something. This next knife actually has a similar handle shape inspiration, we'll say, and that's the Koenig Mini Arius. We've got new non-flipper versions of this. I'll just hold these 2 up next to each other. You can see similar design philosophies in the handles there. That's pretty cool. But anyway, the Mini Arius non-flipper versions, we've got gold and blue accented versions available right now. 3-inch M390 blades, exquisitely milled titanium handles, and the nice hardware as mentioned. For security, we've got a frame lock, and again, no flipper, so you've just got the blade cut out for opening. Standard thumb opening works quite well. Reverse flick is a little more precise, I would say. You gotta be in just the right spot. I think my fingers are a little big. I'm kind of missing it a few times. But the action is excellently crisp, and without the flipper tab there, this is another knife that's easier to choke up on and get all 4 fingers, at least for my slightly larger than average hands. That's an appreciated thing. So you can work this smaller knife a bit harder when you need to. Price on this, $790, but that's a bargain compared to the next knife. Thomas, remind me again how much your truck was.
$1,500 and a couple tanks of gas.
So this knife could easily pay for Thomas's truck. That is the Holt Bladeworks Morpheus. We've got several customs of this, some that are less expensive than Thomas's truck. This one right here is the top of the range that we've got in our current batch. Remember, these are custom knives, custom handmade. So at $1,765, it is not cheap, but here's what you're getting for it. 3¼ inch M390 blade with a high polished finish, or about as polished as M390 can take. Can go a little higher, I would imagine, but this is a pretty exceptional achievement with the degree of consistency on this particular finish. The handles are titanium. The inlay on this one is ironwood, which is very nice. And the anodization on the titanium here actually really complements it nicely. It's, depending on, which way you look at it, there's a little bit of gold in it, a little bit of purple, and it works really well against that natural material right there. You've also got a similar kind of ambiguous quality to the anodized color of the hardware. It leans a little more gold, but you can see a bit of that range of color in it. It's very, very cool. This is a liner lock, an inset liner lock here, so you don't have to ever worry about the lock bar pressure from your fingers. When you're going to open this, hold it however you want and flip it open. And man, that's a satisfying open. Just feels really, really good. Nice neutral handle here. You've got a big enough space there for your index finger guard. Even larger fingers like my own will be able to fit in there, and just a nice neutral shape behind it. So even big or small handed folks alike can use this quite nicely. I can't afford one either. Don't worry about it, folks. Although we do have that Sezzle option for some folks. Anyway, we do have next a new ADV, new Andre de Villiers design. This is the ADV Ratel. It's got a just over 3.5 inch blade of S35 VN, titanium handles, of course, with this cool blue carbon fiber inlay. It's like blue thread amidst the black, some like silver thread in there. Is this lightning strike? I'm actually not sure. Anyway, both sides. It's one of the more tame feeling ADVs out there in terms of embellishments, although we do have some more embellished versions. And we actually do have a huge new restock of ADV at the site right now, not just the new model, a bunch of stuff. So you can check all of that down below. But this seems like one of the most kind of EDC friendly or EDC appropriate ADVs out there. At least, it's still pretty flashy, but if some of the ADV stuff is too flashy for you, this brings it back down to earth just a little bit. You've still got the ADV attitude though. Like I said, almost 3.6 inch blade on the thicker side for sure. This is not the precision scalpel-like slicing, but you've got a high flat grind at least to counteract that thickness a little bit. This is going to be a very beastly knife and a very impressive knife too. Frame lock on the end right there, or on the back right there. Milled pocket clip with the Zamboni wheel there at the front, which is always fun. You've got a little bit of a protruding backspacer here if you needed to use that for, I don't know, maybe glass breaking or any other kind of concentration of force. You've got that option. Let's check out the flipping. Flips great. Let's see if I can use the fuller to flip it open. There you go. Might need a little bit of lubrication on this one, so just feeling it. Maybe use a touch, I would say. Very cool knife. These start at about $380, and we've got some options ranging up into the mid 500s for some more blingy, more flashy, typical ADV style on the higher end. So you can check them all out down below. Speaking of like kind of big, flashy attitude, the Heretic Pariah. We've got new options right here. Color-wise, it's not as big and over the top, but this is a big honking folding knife. Big honking automatic folding knife, actually. $385. You got a 3 3/4 inch MagnaCut blade. It is wide, it is thick, it is a monster for sure. Harpoon tip, as you can see, we'll say it's a saber height flat grind on the rest of it. This is a green, like olive green aluminum. There are a couple of other flavors if you're not a fan of olives. There's also a black olive flavor. I'll stop.
All roads lead to olive.
All roads lead to olive. Sorry, folks. You've got some traction grip there on, like some traction tape on the front side and on the back, although further up on the back. Milled pocket clip with the ball bearing on the end. Let's check out the action. It's going to be good. This thing basically moves your whole arm when it lands. Let's do it one more time. That's very satisfying. It definitely makes an impression, not just to the bystander, but when you go to open it up as well. Despite its girth, it's not as much of a pocket anchor as I might have expected. I mean, weight is just over 6 ounces. That's not bad at all for such a chunky thing. It's balanced maybe a little bit blade forward. Yeah, just a little bit. The handle itself tapers towards the back, so it all roads lead forward with a knife like this. You've got definitely tactical chops. You've got a bit of a finger guard right there. It's gentle, so it's not a full arresting finger guard, but you've got some protection there, which is nice. It's just fun, man. This is a cool big honkin' knife. I don't know how else to describe it. Cool big honkin' knife. DCA. Next up, we've got a new version of their Manticore X, Heretic's OTF, one of their OTFs. This one right here is the A10 motif, so the Warthog, the A10 plane, folks in the know will know that this is a knife that could go burnt, basically. $440 for this 3.7-inch blade, MagnaCut. Yeah, I haven't talked about MagnaCut yet today.
You're gonna.
They get annoyed when I explain what MagnaCut is, though.
Too bad.
Fight me in the comments. MagnaCut is stainless, MagnaCut is tough, and MagnaCut holds an edge a long time. It does all three things well. And as kind of we alluded to when we were talking about the M398 on that Spyderco, most steels can only do 2 things exceptionally well, and the third usually suffers. Not so with MagnaCut. But back to this knife. This is just a lot of fun. Definitely appeals to the inner little kid in me, for sure. And even if it didn't, it's still a Manticore, which means it fires nicely. You've got the very cool recurve drop point blade on this one. Saber height flat grind there. You've got a reversible pocket clip. You've got a ball bearing at the end for glass breaking. That's just a very capable OTF knife. Now even more fun with something like this. What I like about that is it's another thing that kind of isn't taking itself too seriously. I like that. But if you do like something that takes itself very seriously, this might be more your speed. This is the Microtech Glykon. This is one of the Tanto bladed versions, which I don't think I've held one of the Tanto versions of this before. This one is almost nearly completely blacked out. You've got two-tone on the blade itself, but the handles, everything has been blackened. There's nothing else there to kind of give the knife away when it's in the retracted position. $570 for this knife. You've got the tri-way firing mechanism right there. You've got the standard position for the switch on the spine side of the handle, but you've also got, a little harder to use depending on your grip, the side axis on either. I really like this though for retracting the blade. You kind of pull it back, kind of like you might a crossbar lock. That's always nice. Hardware is Torx, and you've got the single position pocket, reversible pocket clip here at the back, and that's part of the structural integrity of the handle there, the screw at the end. M390 MK steel, which is their proprietary blend. Performance-wise, shouldn't be dramatically different than M390 though, which is to say it's still very good stuff. 3 3/4 inches on that blade, flat grinds on the Tanto profile. Technically, it is compound ground because you've got a transition here, but each side is flat. It feels very good in the handle. Another knife with that kind of classic inward curve right there on the underside of the handle. That's cool. Also from Microtech, we've got a bunch of new MSIs hitting the site. This is one that caught my eye of the options out there. G10 handles with a new frag milled, quote unquote, inlay pattern on the side, on both sides, in fact. M390 MK blade steel on this knife, as you can see right there. About 3.9 inches of it, in fact, and a very aggressive, heavy cutting profile with this sheep's foot blade style, in this case being one of the plain edge versions. Full length grip on the handle, even without using this area around the pivot to choke up. You've got plenty of reach, and when you need to choke up, you can push real hard that way, or use that tip a little more, with a little more finesse as well. This is an ambidextrous knife as well, because we've got a nice chunky pocket clip there with dual retention points. It's deep carry and it is reversible, and you've got Microtech's ram lock here, which is kind of a cross between a crossbar lock and something like Spyderco's ball bearing lock in a way. But you got this massive piece of steel providing the lockup between the handle and the tang, pushed forward by a coil spring. Or is that that's not a coil spring, that's a, wait, that is a coil spring. Standard spiral spring.
Good job.
Yeah. It's the afternoon when we're filming this, I'm tired. But it works in practice much like a crossbar lock in the way you access it. You can do the wrist flick quite nicely. You've got a big, broad hoop there in the blade for opening. Even if you're wearing a heavy pair of work gloves, this is going to be easy to open with your thumb and easy enough to find that lock bar when it's time to close it or to launch it. Tons of MSIs on the site, new options right now. Check them out below. Next up, we've got a couple of fixed blades and then a bally. First, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say right up front, my favorite pet name for this knife right now. This is the Janky Pickle. I don't care if none of you appreciate that as much as I do, but I do. This is the Toor Knives Jank Shank Pikal version. Janky Pickle. $275 for it. 3-inch blade with the inverted cutting profile, essentially, CPM 154. And this is for, you know, a particular fighting style where you want that sharpened edge, you know, facing you, essentially, for, you know, I guess grapples and that sort of thing. I'm actually not an expert on that fighting style, if you couldn't tell already. I know enough to know what it is, though. The handles here are dynamic fluted walnut. They look really cool. I like them, especially against the copper inlay there, or sorry, copper liners underneath of them. Yeah, it's neat. The Toor stuff is always so well built. They are US made for those of you that's what you like. This is a very good option. And yeah, even if this knife is nothing I could use effectively, I like it. I like what they do, put it that way. Sheath is Kydex. The one thing I don't like as much about what they do is there is no kind of attachment hardware included with this. It is just the Kydex sheath, but let's see what will work. Let's see if a tech lock will work. It does match up with the tech lock hole spacing, so that's a real easy option right there. Ulti clips will also certainly work very well for this particular knife. Or particular sheath, I should say. This next knife from Toor is definitely more my speed in terms of what I would be more capable of using. This is the WIllow. Also coming in at $275, you got a 3 3/4 inch blade. And this is a pretty light knife, as you can imagine from this heavily skeletonized handle. 2.5 ounces, quite light indeed for a knife this size. It handles pretty well. It feels agile. It may not be my first choice for like a lot of heavy wood carving, and that would be due to those cutouts there. They kind of introduce some opportunities for hot spots if you're really pushing things hard. But this seems more like a lightweight hunter or lightweight hiker even. You've definitely got enough belly to do that sweeping skinning type task, and you've got a very acute tip along with it. G10 for the handle scales on there. Nice slight bit of protruding tang at the back. It's put together real well. Again, Kydex sheath. Again, no attachment hardware, but let's check out the tech lock. Pull out the tech lock one more time. Yep, large tech lock will work. We do have a small tech lock over here. Looks like these top holes might fit it. Just about. It's not a perfect fit, but it might be able to be made to work. I'm going to stop bringing this out as an example soon because they've discontinued the small tech lock. It's kind of a shame. But hey, nothing lasts forever, I suppose. Next up is, I'm really liking this one actually. This is the Ursus Cub from White River. Comes in with a 3.5-inch blade of Magna Cut steel at just under $200 right now. Very cool drop point shape, very useful shape, high flat grind with a stone washed finish and not too thick. It's a fantastic and easily recommendable shape for outdoor users, in my opinion. It's not an easy recommendation for me to make, though, if you have pretty large hands. The burlap micarta handles here are nice and nicely formed, but the length, it's not super generous. I do like to say I have slightly larger than average hands, which only means I'm somewhere between a size large and size XL glove, depending on which brand we're looking at. And I kind of have enough room for it. I am a little bit cramped, not so much so that this would be unusable for me, but it is on the small side if your hands are on the larger side. Certainly going to be a great knife for smaller handed folks though, for sure. And the White River quality is impeccable. Like I always say, they are very underrated. And I got the sheath way over here. I don't know why I put it way over there. I blame Thomas for that one. Not for any legitimate reason, just because I can.
Well, I can blame the user.
That's true, he can. Kydex sheath clicks in. You've got a ferro rod here on the side, and you've got a removable Kydex belt loop here on the back. So everything you need to carry it on the belt right out of the box. And if you want to switch things up, add a different type of carry method between the rivets and slots here. Pretty much any aftermarket thing will be able to be made to work quite nicely. It's very cool. It feels good. Even though it, like I said, it is on the small side for me, it feels great. And it's just a simple, no-nonsense design with some very good materials at a fair price for a US-made knife of that quality, I would say. Last but not least, we've got the return of a knife, but it is a bit different than it was originally. The Cold Steel Archangel, American-made, comes in about $170 right now. For that, you're getting S35 VN steel, which is a bump over most Balisong steels. There are some out there, but most don't use a powder metallurgy steel, so that's a nice thing. The handles are, each one is a single piece of aluminum. And if I'm honest, I don't know if this is one that like the flipper crowd is going to get into. The handles feel maybe a little too light for that, and maybe a little too slightly loose feeling if you're into that like peak of flipper performance. The better way to think about this knife, I think, is for $170, you're getting a US-made knife with a 4.5-inch S35 VN blade, a very usable blade shape for daily use. So if you're not opposed to carrying a Balisong as part of your everyday carry, that is a lot of knife for the money, even if it's not going to satisfy the flippers out there. At least that's my general opinion. If you're a flipper out there and you've handled one of these, let us know what you think in the comments. There you go. That is it for, Daryl Ralph is the designer of that. May he rest in peace. But that is all we have for today, folks. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. And as mentioned earlier, you've got links in the description that'll take you to KnifeCenter.com, and you've got that promo item of that pen. Spend $199 or more. Use the promo code, and you get that cool pen along with it. And don't forget about our new Sezzle payment options, as well as our Knife Rewards program, so you can earn some free money to spend on your future knives when you pick up one today. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off. See you next time.